All right, welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Now, a few things I want to talk about. One is the prize money in racing, and the other thing is future race formats. Let's start with the prize money. So, Sunshine Coast Bump Hunters race was on this weekend, and 28-kilometer race, about 30 entrants. Really good race. We had a northeasterly breeze, 15 to probably I'd say 15 to 20 knots. But it was a pretty good cut left. I used the 680R with the 120 medium fuse, 75 mast, exactly what I used for Molokai to Oahu actually. And I was probably working harder than I was for M2O because it was a shorter race, but also because it was a bit more of a cut left than Molokai to Oahu. The bumps were better for M2O. Super physical, was a, full straight shot, go as fast as you can. First half was a bit of a cut left to get around the island and then the point, and you get around the point, and there was some really nice, clean, big, drawn out bumps, almost like M2O sort of style bumps, but cleaner and probably nicer for that one section. And then came and went. Had a really good race. Kai Thompson had a really good start. He was ahead, sort of caught up to him, and then um, sort of worked my way out to see Craig Campbell was right behind me, like the whole first half of the race. I feel like he was two, maybe three bumps behind that whole time. And I think I managed to cut the corner of Point Cartwright, and got a few really good bumps. Did some like low twos, like 201 kilometers. So it's close to 30 k's an hour for a kilometer, and I managed to get a good gap. I think I ended up winning by about 2.5 minutes. So not huge, but that's about a kilometer. So after that second half, I did manage to open up a bit of a gap from Craig. Kai seemed to take a really inside line to try to keep in line with us. So I was sort of going out, and he was staying in line with me inside. But yeah, I feel like Kai went too far in to get to be in the mix for the first place for the battle for first for Craig and I for the majority of that first half of the race. Really tight racing from about, I think there was only like a minute between second and fourth, and then there was like 30 seconds between like fifth and 12th or something. It was crazy tight racing. Everyone came in within, 5-10 seconds of each other, which was really cool. Like the racing is so tight right now. Um, but what I wanted to touch on was the prize money. Now, this was not, I guess, not what I call it a cowboy event. It was just sort of a bunch of mates getting together, and they put an entry fee to pay for a bus and some prize money, and they managed to put $500 for first place, 250 for second, and I don't think I've ever won any prize money in downwind fall racing, and this was the first time that I got prize money in downwind fall racing, and it made me sort of realize, well, M2O, 100 competitors, M2M, similar. What was the Sunshine Coast Bump Hunters race, the richest downwind fall race in the history of the sport? It seems strange because it was just a sort of put together, waiting period, and, a great job by the boys. Dave West, Trent Gordon, and Alex Tibby. But it was like, if it was the richest race in the history of the sport, it seems pretty strange. So definitely let me know if I'm wrong in saying this. But I know the France race, the Crozon Fall Fest didn't have prize money. Pretty sure Saint Tropez didn't have any prize money, according to Kai, at least, who was at those two races. M2O, I know, doesn't have any prize money for the foil racing, as far as I'm, since the last 2 years anyway. Maybe Z Race had some prize money. I know the Oahu full race that John Hearn runs, and on Oahu has put $100 cash for the first of the series. But yeah, this was $500 cash for one race, and so it was, interesting. The richest race in downwind falling history, is it? Tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, interesting, right? Oh, there's going to be more events like this happen, I think, and I think it's just going to grow and grow. So really excited for how this downwind fall sport is growing. Leading into that, I want to talk about future formats. So there's the A to B, such as M2O 2023 and the race we just did, the Bump Hunters race, where we kind of started off just off the point and finished on the beach. M2O 2023, we started just off Molokai and went into the finish at Portlock. And then there's a wind line start and a wind line finish, which seems to be getting more and more popular. I definitely agree that it's going to get more people into the sport because a wind line start allows people to get the best of the bumps, and a wind line finish allows people to not have like a beach run up a beach run, or have the, I guess, the risk of falling off or stumbling to get your leg rope off, or the run up the beach makes it a bit trickier. Or for M2O, for example, we finished out in the wind line off Kaimana. We didn't go all the way into the beach. So the wind line finish, I'm going to view it as a different kind of race, whereas M2O 2023, finishing all the way in, upwind finish, basically a beach finish, made it a bit different. So they're the two, I guess, main racing formats we have at the moment. I'm excited to see some downwind course racing happen and zigging and zagging. I listened to a podcast that Dave Kalama did with Eric Antonson on the Progression Project, and he talked about how important it was that there is this pure speed racing to make it important. But I think an A to B, such as M2O 2023, compared to a wind line start and a wind line finish, for example, M2O 2024, is different. So an A to B is beach to beach. You've got the difficulty at the start where the bumps are going to be smaller. You've got the big open ocean middle, and then you've got the difficulty at the finish where M2O is an upwind finish and much flatter conditions to the finish. Even if we finished at Kaimana, to the beach would have made a little bit different. It would have been different results. I truly believe that because I was only 15 seconds behind someone, and 15 seconds is the difference between a couple of places, as you saw for the Bump Hunters race this weekend. And then, so they're the two races that exist, and M2O 2023 and M2O 2024 is an example of those two. The downwind course racing, Dave Palmer suggested would be great for somewhere like Hood River, and I totally agree. Zig and Zag, I think having like heats with two people going down the course and having the inside lane on one, inside on the other, I think it'd be super exciting, and it only has to be short. I think Josh Koo's YouTube videos of the surf style drone footage and having people vote who's the best is a great idea too. But I think we can make that all within a day, and it doesn't have to be drone. It can be like surf style within a short, like 1 or 2 kilometer stretch, and you can, from a high vantage point, you can see 2 kilometers upwind basically. So this course racing really excites me. I think it's not replacing an M2O style race. It's not replacing an A to B. It's additional. The beauty of the downwind course racing is if there is no wind, we can still do this. We can do a downwind course. Doesn't have to, a downwind, I call it downwind course, but it's down swell. So for example, in France, where they had no wind in the I guess in the bay at Crozon, they had awesome waves for the surf foil event. Now those waves were coming a certain direction. I'd guarantee you some of those foilers, or most of the foilers, could have actually sort of gone into the surf zone, pumped back out, into the surf zone, pumped back out, and gone along the coast. That's an option. Why don't we make that an option if there's no wind? Ocean has a lot of energy, swells, we can ride. So instead of being downwind, we can down swell if there's no wind. Great additional option for the future of our racing, the future of our sport, and for these future formats. So I think we got to get a little bit creative. The A to B, it's there. It's awesome. It's going to be good. It's physical, yes. I think there is still that distinguish between A to B versus wind line start to wind line finish. A beach start to a beach finish is very different. I like both options. They have their pros and cons. I'm in favor more of the beach to beach rather than wind line to wind line, just because it means it adds a bit more complexity, different conditions, bigger falls. It's still going to be still going to be a very physical race, but I think it will lean itself to more technical style. It's more of a mountain bike versus road bike sort of scenario. Mountain bike in that you have to use the technical skills to get through the bumps and through the flat sections, versus road bike where it's all pretty much the same. And we're just going one up and over the whole way. I've made my thoughts clear on that earlier this year. I think they're both great, but I think for the future of the sport and the fun of the sport, I think beach start to beach finish is more fun. Wind line start, wind line finish is definitely more physical. The course racing, the downwind course racing is what's going to be really exciting. And I think that's the addition for when the wind doesn't turn up or the conditions aren't suitable because the wind is the wrong direction. We actually did this in Olokai pre-COVID and the wind was north and we started outside Kanaha and finished on the beach at Old Man's. So it's been done before and I think there's going to be more of it happening in the future. But yeah, they're my thoughts for this week. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. And a little, I guess, public service announcement for my Coach Casey Club. I currently charge $50 a month for the basic and 250 for the premium. Those prices are going up. It's sort of been that same price for the last sort of 6 years. So it's now $60 a month for the basic and 350 for the premium. So I guess inflation makes everything more expensive. I put more money into the course material and whatnot. So just for those that want to keep the original prices, you got to sign up now. If you want to be paying the new prices, you've got if you don't want to pay the new prices, November 1st is when those new prices come into play. So if you sign up before November 1, you can continue on with the old prices until you unsubscribe. But yeah, just a bit of I guess, an update on the Coach Casey Club stuff. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and I'll speak to you all next week for my weekly thoughts. Cheers.